Welcome into the Players Club, presented by Pepsi. The Players Club is presented by Pepsi, the official soft drink of the Washington Commanders. And in part by Johnson Kendall Johnson, the official insurance broker and risk management partner of the Washington Commanders, where our passion is your protection. Now for your hosts, London Fletcher, Santana Moss, and Sean Springs.
Welcome into season 3 of the Emmy-nominated Players Club. We got a new guest, man, new co-host, Sean Springs. He spent 5 seasons in the Burgundy and Gold, 13-year NFL veteran. Welcome to the show, Sean.
Hey, I'm happy to be, man. This is an honor to be with greatness, man. I'm in the presence of greatness.
You back home, right?
Yeah, I'm just home, man.
Yeah, man. We're gonna have a fun. We're gonna have a fun time. For those of you maybe tuning in for the first time, the Players Club. We're gonna be chopping it up with current Washington Commanders players and also former Washington Legends players. Talking life, talking football, talking just all the things that we love to talk about. Sean, man, I just think about 2007 when I came here, joined you as a teammate, man.
What was that like?
We welcome London in, man.
Yeah.
We welcome.
Tell me how was that experience? Because you thought he was the captain of the team.
No. I didn't think I was a captain. I thought I was a superstar. When a play needed to be made, it was going to be me. But London was the captain. It was obvious he was going to be the captain.
They brought me in. They needed some leadership on the defense.
They definitely needed leadership.
Hey, not only did I bring the leadership, I brought some playmaking. But no, Sean, man, he was a baller. He was a baller. Heck, you knew you faced him in practice.
Sean let it be known early that he was going to talk highly about himself and the Ohio State. And I remember Sean is the real reason that, Sean don't get enough credit. CP get a lot of the credit, but Sean is also the guy who I got to give credit to. Because if it wasn't for him bringing in Mel, our trainer, I would have never probably had the longest, the career that I had. Because when I got here, I was broke up. Them first 4 years in New York, man, I was beat up. And Sean told CP, hey, man, I be seeing Tanner me working on his hamstrings and, inside our little whatchamacallit room. Tell him to come see my guy. And CP called me like, hey, man, Sean got this guy, come meet him. Mel saw me, and he saw me from the introduction of just saying, hey, what's up, that something was going on with me.
Right.
And the rest was history. So I got to give you credit for that, bro.
Man, you got to be a professional, man. Help out your teammates, bro.
No doubt.
Man. But in that defensive meeting room, man, we had some dogs.
Characters, too.
We Fred Smoot is the first one. When you say character, the first thing comes to mind, Fred Smoot.
Damn, Smoot and Carlos Rogers, man.
Greg Williams was our defensive coordinator.
Yeah. Hey, but by the way, did y'all see that TikTok on Greg still going off on people in meeting rooms?
No.
So there was a TikTok last week about Greg. And of course, Greg was Greg. He's, he got the red dot London. So everybody in London will tell you, Greg, you can tell when Greg, depending on what he's wearing that day, he's on one. So Greg sitting at the TikTok's like Greg sitting at the front of the meeting room, and he's just going over there. It was like snippets of like meetings Greg that had. And of course he's cussing people out.
Yeah,
he's holding them accountable. He's yelling at them, and everybody's like, you see the guys' heads down.
He got to be authentic with himself, though. I mean, it wouldn't be great if it wasn't him going that route, right?
When Greg used to talk all this, his bravado and all this stuff, I thought Greg was funny to me. So I had him as a head coach in Buffalo.
You had him in Buffalo.
So I knew him as a head coach, totally different as a head coach than he was as a defensive coordinator. One thing I will say about him, dude can call a defense.
No doubt.
He had a great feel of when to call plays.
Yeah.
So because everybody has plays and you go into it with a game plan, but knowing when to call a certain defense, just having a great feel. And he also would allow me to call it myself. He just like, hey, he just point at me like, London, you got to just just call it. Now we did play a lot of man to man.
That was Greg Blosh. I wasn't Greg Will.
Yeah, that's true. Greg Blosh.
But one of the things that I like about what G-Dub and that whole defense, we said we had characters. I think the biggest thing for us with the staff, and I think what London helped was everybody kind of knew their role. Right? London knew like Fridays, London knew that he was the guy that coach relied on to make sure that these guys knew what they were doing being lined up. So I will say that London kept that meeting room because we did have some characters. We'd have been joking around if we left up DBs. But London made sure, hey, this is the script. What are the checks? What are we doing?
Yeah.
And I think that was needed. Then we had guys where you knew, like, hey, man, I'm out here to cover the best guy. I'm going to make a play. You know, Sean's going to just be fantastic. He's just Sean Taylor, and he's just fantastic.
Listen, I'm glad you brought up Sean Taylor. And two stories about Sean, and you remember this. We're getting ready to play the Giants. I think we started off the season 2-0.
Yep.
07.
07. Yeah.
And I've told this story on Players Club, but now we got Blue. And by the way, we're going to call him Blue. That's a nickname we got for Sean, Blue. So I'm going to refer to him as Blue. So we're getting ready to play the Giants, and we were having like a kind of bad practice to start because I think we start off special teams and like balls were being dropped. And something happened in the defense where things just weren't, we weren't clicking where we needed to be clicking. So I, coming in as a leader, and I say something, I yell something. Like, man, we need to pick this up. Sean S. Thinks I'm talking to him. Sean Taylor thinks I'm going at him.
Right.
So, because I didn't know, he was back there catching punts from two.
Right.
And I think he might have dropped a punt or something. Right. So he's thinking I'm going at him. Me and him get into it on the sideline.
You did. Yeah. You did, I remember.
And so we get into it on the sideline. So you got two alpha males.
Yeah.
I'm not backing down. He ain't backing down. It took Blue he came to me. I guess he knew, having been Sean's teammate for a while, he's like, I ain't gonna be able to calm him down. Let me go calm London down.
Right,
so he's like, he's just London.
Let that go.
You just stab your bet. Go ahead and let him win.
Just let it go.
Let a young buck win, London.
Let it go.
You the bet. Let him win.
Just let it go. The way he said it, it was like, you know what? All right.
Right.
You know what?
You good, man.
I'm going to let it go.
Right.
But I just happened to have this conversation maybe 2 days ago. Somebody was asking me about Sean Taylor and, like, how good could he have been?
Yep.
I say, man, I played with Hall of Famers. I think we all have experience where we either play with guys who currently in the Pro Football Hall of Fame or will be future Hall of Fame. I was like, he was just scratching the surface.
Yeah.
Like scratching the surface.
Yeah.
He was here with the ability that he was going to get to this point. And I was like, man, did y'all feel that same way?
I mean, you look at the year that he left us already. Before he, that season wasn't nowhere near halfway done, and he was already, his numbers was godly, compared to what he had got recognized for already for being a great season. He had 4 picks that year. Had missed about 4 games already. 3.
He had hurt his knee.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So he was on a pace that season alone to just outdo everything he had done. So that's why I look at him and be like, y'all just don't understand, man. And then at that time too, he recognized as a young man that I got to make sacrifices to be great. He had already started dieting. Stopped hanging out. He was doing so much at a young age to make sure that he played at the level. Man, he just had it.
It was his knowledge. Before, like, people was like, well, Sean do what he wants to do. And part of it was not that he really wanted to do what he wanted to do. He had the ability to do things that others couldn't do.
Yeah.
So he could almost show at the line of scrimmage and still be over top of you. Right. Like, we in cover 2, and Sean is, like, standing by, like, at Will Backer. I'm like, yo, man, like get back, right?
I'm letting this receiver go.
I'm gonna try to get a jam, but you supposed to be on high. Yeah. So that's one thing. But I think what happened really was he started to really understand when he started to understand the game. But it was really more so that, like, he really understood his abilities.
Yeah.
His abilities, right? Like, before he was just making plays and stuff like that. But when he started to understand the game and matching it up with his abilities and things that he could do, he became unstoppable. Because I played with Pro Bowl guys. I play a young, like, and I tell people this all the time. another guy played at Miami that was really good, who was very similar to Sean, was a guy named Benny Blades.
Oh yeah, dog.
And then people know, like, Benny was amazing, right? And he was still amazing 10th, 12th year in the league when I had a chance to play with him and Darrell Williams. But Sean, he was on that level of, like, if you think about the potential of safeties, and Ed Reed comes first to mind, Troy, Sean, and you don't like to say this, but I think he could have been the best safety ever.
At all. Yeah.
That's how I feel. That's how I feel. And I played with him, and I sat beside him for 5 years.
Yeah,
right?
man. Man. All right, man. Damn, I missed that stop, man. We got cheated, man. But, and shout out to the statue that they're going to put it.
Yeah.
We feel like we need great gesture that the team is going to do by putting a statue for him, and that he just truly deserves that. It's time to switch gears, man. The initial 53-man roster has been announced. We're going to do something called Set the Tone. It's time to set the tone, brought to you by Johnson Kendall Johnson, the official insurance broker and risk management partner of the Washington Commanders, where our passion is your protection. Who do y'all think needs to set the tone for this season, this year?
For me, man, and I might take the shine on. I want to jump out there before London, because I know London probably feel the same way about this guy. I think Frankie Lavu is a superstar. And our linebacking core has been tremendously upgraded. But for some reason, the first time I saw Frankie Lavu, I was like, oh, what? Like, this guy is a predator out there. Yeah. And he's a superstar on the defense side of the ball. And the reason why I say he could possibly set the tone, because if you think about Dan Quinn, you think about Dallas, you think about Michael Parsons, I think Frankie Lavu has that. He got something about him that he could be just dynamic in the blitzing, coverage, hit. Fred Warner comes to mind in London. You can probably speak on it a little more. But I think that kid could be a superstar on that defense.
I'm going to go against the grain from what we probably look at offensively, and we might say, okay, you got the quarterback that, he can do so much with his legs and with his arm. Then you have a guy like Terry, who I can easily throw out there. But I'm going to say B-Rob. I think B-Rob was cheated last year with the carries. And people fail to realize you look at Cliff and his style of play, and you think pass. But go back and watch history. Look at history when it comes to Cliff. His run game has always been up there too. Right. Yeah. Of the best of the league, when he was out there doing his thing in Arizona. So I think B-Rob is going to be a surprise to a lot of folks, thinking that, hey, it's all about just, spread out offense or whatever.
Set that run tone.
He's going to be able to set the tone and slow things down for a young, quarterback that we have, that now he can go out there and be that guy and see the guys and see those lanes, a little much clearer, because we have the run game, behind B-Rob Blades.
So can piggyback it off of you with the B-Rob standpoint. In order for B-Rob to do his thing, you need that O-line to do their thing.
Right. Got to do their thing. You're right.
One person in particular that I feel like is going to have to set the tone, Sam Cosmi. Sam Cosmi. He's last year, he balled.
Man,
he
was a great year
last year. Played. He finally got settled into his home, I think, in best position at right guard. Physical tone setter, man. Sam in a year where the offensive line didn't play up to expectations, so to speak. Sam did. He was a bright spot on that offensive line. He played outstanding football. And I think even this year, with him being in the guard position for a second year in a row, under new coaching staff with a greater emphasis on running the football. Yeah. Sam, with his athleticism and his temperament, he's a tone setter, because offensive lineman, it's one thing to have skill and technique and all that. When you have skill, technique, and a nasty temperament and demeanor, which he has, you have the ability to set the tone, and that's he's going to be my tone setter. The 53-man roster, man. Any surprises to you guys? Any things you like?
Well, Driscoll keeping a third quarterback. I think you alluded to about man, because now teams are looking maybe put the third guy on practice squad or something like that. But I think it was the 50-yard run that he had.
He was rolling.
He was rolling, right?
But he was looking to get tackled. He said this too.
He was like, somebody please tackle me. Please tackle me. But, in the modern day football, usually you just think about the first and the second guy.
Yeah.
And the third guy is like, I'll pick somebody off the street or somebody, that may be available. But I think that kid, that was like, all right, they're keeping a quarterback. That was kind of a, like, that's interesting.
Right.
And then another thing I was thinking about is, how many DBs on him?
Yeah, a lot of defensive backs.
I was going to talk about
Yeah, you can talk about that, but that was like one of those things.
No, I mean,
whoa.
just all the safeties. I mean, that's my wow, that's my surprise. Just so many safeties. But when you think about it, when you really think about it as a whole and understand what this defense is about, packages. And then you're saying to yourself, yeah, we might have 11 that we say, I guess you can say named as safeties, but it's really 12 when you have one of the guys playing linebacker. He's slotted as a linebacker, and you just understand the packages. And when you watch what Dan Quinn did defensively in all the spots he's been in, he was one of those guys that showed different looks, and he had guys that fit the mold. So when you have that, it's a great thing to have. You know what I mean? You can't look at it and say, well, man, why we got so many safeties? You look at it and say, I'm happy to see that we have so much, flexibility in that position that we can have that many guys and use them in different spots.
London, you mentioned the new kickoff rules. And because it's close to the type of bodies.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So normally the bodies would have been like tight end, linebacker type guys.
And offensive lineman on the kick return.
But with being close, I was like, that's interesting. Maybe the special teams is dictating, like, we got to have more of those bigger DBs, but faster because the game is playing in space, right?
Well, and understand this, at the time that we're recording this, the 53-man roster could be adjusted by the time you all see this. So there could be some changes that take place and things like that. But I will say this, and Dan Quinn has touched on this, and I'm sure if you talk to Larry Izzo, the special teams coach, for the last few years, the kickoff coverage and the kickoff return teams really, that special teams element really wasn't there anymore.
Yeah, right.
There used to be guys who made football teams based on their ability to cover kicks.
Hey, man, you remember the name Orpheus Roy?
Yeah.
I was scared of him. Big old Orpheus Roy, man. Scared of like a guy. Like,
remember the dude that used to play for the Carolina Panthers? He was a special
teams, yeah.
Demon.
Then the Ravens had the boy that played that won all.
Well, OJ, he was my teammate too. Not OJ. OJ Brigance was a special teams.
We had a guy here who played. And end up playing linebacker for Buffalo. What's my game name? Renzo. Special team.
The one-man gang.
Yeah, one man.
Gave him that nickname.
Yeah, one-man gang. Shout out to my boy Slater. Matthew Slater, man. Like, that kid made a career on special teams.
I met his dad a couple of years ago for the first time.
It could be coming back to your point, right?
Yeah. But when you look at that element, you're going to have more athletic guys, bigger bodies, guys who can cover kicks, and guys who can block in the kickoff return. As I looked at this roster, I'm always intrigued to see how many undrafted guys are able to make the team, or even a guy like you mentioned, Jeff Driscoll, or a guy like Jeremy McNichols. Guys who at the initially when you come into this, look at the roster as it's being put together, or the 90-man roster, you're like, these guys are kind of afterthoughts, so to speak, not in their minds, and and they proved it, but not a lot of fanfare, and they earned their way onto this roster. But a guy, undrafted free agent, Tyler Owens,
man,
made plays every single time he got opportunities to make plays as a defensive player, but also as a special team, covering kicks, and then Kosin Yankoff, as a fourth tight end. So. Taking advantage of your opportunities.
Yeah, and it's interesting now because now that you can put veterans on a practice squad, it's interesting to see how teams are deciding who they're gonna put on the practice squad. Am I gonna let this guy hit that market? Because to your point, I mean, Owens making the team, was like you would have thought, like, nah, he's a camp body. Right? Like, he's gonna just cover a couple kicks. Man, that kid was
he went out there and dominated. He
was out there dominating. Every single time he got out on the field, a play was made.
Tanner, wide receivers, man. You look at the initial guys who made the wide receiver. What are your thoughts on that position group?
After the big news of the week. Right.
Yeah.
After the big news,
we can start with the news. We can start with the news. I was wild. I was a little floored by it because you look at the potential there. But one of the things I know about this game, man, the ability to, a lot of guys have ability. You can see it. So many guys be on the practice field. You be like, man, he's talented. He got this and that. But if you're not putting it out there consistently, especially in the flow of a game, then we have no place for you.
Right.
And that's what kind of was some of the little whispers was around, like, look, man, we know the guy can play, but we don't get that energy from him all the time.
Well, London, was it really about play, or sometimes it's about the attitude or the type of
attitude,
the type of player the coach is looking for?
Yeah,
right?
I'll say this, and I've always been a big Jahan Dotson fan.
Me too.
Going all the way back to his college days.
Me too.
I'm a big Ohio State fan. You went to Ohio State, and I can remember Jahan just destroying Ohio State.
Always open.
Back. And so I was, a big fan of his. I'm sorry that I hate to see that it didn't work out for him in Washington just because I was a big fan of his. And a lot of times.
But Philly, London?
Hey, man, that man got the best offer for me. At this point in time, if Philly had the best offer, you take the best offer.
Yeah.
I look at it like this. Every scheme is not for everybody.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And whether I look at myself, like I came into the league as a 4-3 inside linebacker. I couldn't have been a 3-4 linebacker, 3-4 inside linebacker initially in my career.
Mm-hmm.
Now, eventually, as I got more seasoned and became later on in my career, I was able to play in a 3-4 defense, and I did that under Jen Haslett in this defense and playing 3-4.
We ran Okie front with Greg sometimes too, right?
Yeah, but it's just different. It's different. So with Jahan, maybe the things that they wanted him to do at the wide receiver position, his skill set may not have fit as much as the guys they opted to keep.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily a detriment or a criticism or what he did. It might be a testament to what the other guys did.
Yeah,
so I can look at it like this.
That's a good point. We got a strong roster. Yeah.
Philly is a team that has Super Bowl aspirations. They like his skill set enough to they say, hey, we can utilize him. Put him in there.
He's by far a plus to anything they had in the slot ever that I've seen over there. So, and not to cut you off, but just to get back on the off, those wide receivers. Yeah, you hit it on the head. Maybe it don't fit here, but I understand what you're coming from saying, Philly, but you have to think about it too from two aspects. Say we keep them and you still can't pay them next year. You're going to lose them.
So if Philly's offering me a third and Cleveland's offering me a sixth, you think I'm going to send him to Cleveland because Cleveland, let's say Cleveland offered me a fourth. Am I going to send him to Cleveland for this fourth, or am I going to take Philly's third?
I'm getting a third.
Just so it's like,
and you have to be confident knowing that, hey, we put him over there. We want to see him twice a year.
He'll be motivated. We all get motivated by our former teams. That's just the nature of this business.
Yeah. But speaking of that core, I'm pleased with it. I've never been the guy that got caught up on names. Now, would I love to see more firepower? Yeah. But I think, man, also, a lot of that stuff stems from, what the offense allow you to be. You know what I mean? We saw Christian Kirk in his offense in Arizona, you know what I mean? And we was like, whoa, and you see what he did. He went and got paid. So, same way with Terry. When Terry came here some years ago, 6 years ago, he was a third-round pick. We never knew Terry was going to be Terry, but he got there because of the ability of having the opportunity. He was available, and then he had opportunity. So now that's going to be these next guys. You get your De'Ami Brown. You get the guy, I can't think of his name.
Olamide Zaccheaus.
Zaccheaus. You get all these guys now that have the chance to step into that mode of saying, hey.
McCaffrey.
McCaffrey's a young guy. You know what I mean? He's a young guy. But now they have the opportunity to go out there and make do with this, with their ability and this opportunity. So I'm just looking forward to these guys going out there, having a great year. I'm not big on size because I hear everybody, that's all you hear.
Of course you're not big on size.
Yeah, of course. Because a guy,
come on,
a guy 5'9.5", 5'10" on a good day, went out there and ran circles around the best of them. So, of course, you're right. But I feel like we have those kind of guys here,
And
Jamison Crowder, shout out to the OG.
Him and Pringle.
Yeah.
Crowder and Pringle.
Yep.
Hats off to you.
Yeah, man. Just thinking about another defensive. Blue, let's think about this. I think we need to touch on this.
Yeah.
The defense in general.
Yep.
We haven't seen this projected starters play in a game together.
Right.
You know, Deron and Jonathan, neither one of them played in any of the preseason games, or Bobby Wagner. Defensively, what do you think this defense is going to look like?
Exciting for one reason. I love the way those guys ran to the ball, and you're right. The starters that got the reps in practice and the joint practices, but the backups were just running to the ball. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Everybody was around the ball. It looked like, and it's not a knock on last year and the staff what they did last year, but it felt like this defense under Joe Witt, everybody, whether you're the first or third or second or third team, you were all on the same page. You communicated, you moved well.
Right.
You know, London, we talk about a defense, like, ain't no real big gaps here. There was a few times where teams made plays, whatever. But for the most part, they play well together at every level. So I think the defense is going to be exciting. And you talk about one reason is Joe Witt's attitude and what he breathes down. Yeah. Another thing, man, is bringing in Bobby Wagner with people don't give that. London, you came in year, 9 here?
I was going to my 10th season. Going to
10th season. People
so closer, similar to like Bobby.
Similar to Bobby, but people don't understand how important that is for you have that type of leadership in the middle of your field to get people lined up.
Absolutely.
That is not like talked about enough.
Listen, right? You don't know. You have to be able to set the defense.
Yes,
and Tanner, so from your offensive perspective. Mm-hmm. Soon as y'all come out of the field, out of the huddle, and a lot of times teams don't even huddle now. Me as a middle linebacker, I have to be able to see
everything.
Everything. And the reason being, I gotta set the front to your formation and who's the stud tight end, where's the pass. If we got a blitz that set off the passing strength, we got a pressure to set off the weakness up, the weak passing strength. So I mean weakness. Things like that, all those things you have to be able to process quickly because Sean as a corner,
a nickel. I'm relying on London to make a ram call so that I don't have to take on a B-Rob.
Well, not only that, but you gotta you want to get outside and get set
and line up.
Look at the formation. Now he can go through his process of okay, this the formation.
Here's the alignment.
Checklist, this alignment. So the quicker you can make that call out, it allows everybody to play faster and play better. So having a guy like Bobby Wagner, who's going to his 13th season, and he still can play. So a lot of times I feel like, we talk about the experience piece, and he's a tremendous experienced player, but he also still can make plays.
Oh, he make plays.
Yeah.
He led the league in tackles last year. He led the league in tackles.
Still can make plays. I'm looking forward to seeing what those guys do. I think the standard that Joe Witt Jr. has those guys playing that, practicing that, he tell you, man, this ain't for everybody.
And I'm happy he had that kind of standard because, you understand playing a long time here, just in the league alone, you don't like those teams where Phil has that country club vibe, where everybody just happy and everybody feels safe. You gotta fear that your job is on the line every time you step between those white lines on the practice field. That's how I took on practice, whether we had them kind of coaches around or not. And luckily and fortunately, I've always had, I guess you could say probably 1 year that I didn't have a coach that put that kind of fear in his players, and that was my last year here. You know what I'm saying? So I've always had, Gibbs was like that, Shanahan was like that. You had those coaches that, man, look, we're not taking you coming out here lackadaisical in practice or not showing up and being the guy that we expect to be you to be on Sunday. So I love that temperament from our staff alone because I feel like that's going to create the kind of chaos that they're trying to build within, their playing, style or whatever.
Yeah, and that's it. All right, more Players Club after this, and we got a special guest for you, Jonathan Allen.
This is your Ice Cold Player, brought to you by Pepsi, the official soft drink of the Washington Commanders.
And we are blessed to be joined on the Players Club by perennial Pro Bowl tackle, 8-year veteran, former first-round draft pick, Jonathan Allen.
Thank you.
J.A., we appreciate you joining us, man.
I appreciate you guys for having me.
All right.
Hey, Ashburn's finest, man.
Yeah.
Finest,
Right. J.A., got a new head coach. This is your third head coach since you've been in Washington.
Man.
What's it like playing under Dan Quinn?
I love it. I mean, this has been my favorite coach so far, and I think it says something when you got guys like Bobby Wagner going into year 13 who want to come and play here because of Coach Quinn and the atmosphere that he breathes. Like, you guys see it, like the energy, how he takes care of the players while pushing us, man. It's nothing like it.
Yeah, and when you get a new coach, you always feel like you got to prove yourself every
Amen.
year. So what was it that you wanted to show the new staff, what you brought to the table? Because they knew about you, right, obviously, but what did you want them to know about you?
For me, the biggest thing that I wanted them to know about me is how hard I practice. I feel like everyone is going to play hard during the game because, I mean, that's just what we do.
Yep.
But I take a lot of pride in practice, and for me, I wanted to show them how tough I was on the practice field and how I don't like to miss time, and really my work ethic, you know what I mean? So that was my biggest thing.
Being that you've been through this before, as London just, he alluded to, this is your third head coach. Was it ever a time, in knowing that we finna get a new staff in here, was it ever a time you saying, how long is this going to take? You know what I mean? Am I going to get this staff that's going to come in and take me to where I'm trying to go? Do I need to go elsewhere? Like, did you ever have any of those thoughts in your head saying, man, I don't feel like I want to go through this again here?
I'll be honest, that's how I felt at the end of the season last year. But after talking to Mr. Peters and Coach Quinn, I knew that it was something I wanted to be a part of. I just like the energy they brought. I like what they were saying. And, I always said that I wasn't going to let the things that went on in the other regime affect my decision about this one. And, after OTAs, I was like, win, lose, or draw, this is something that I want to be a part of. I want to see it out.
And I'm glad you mentioned last season because we had you late in the season on the Players Club, and just looking, you could see the frustration and that you were dealing with, and seeing you and observing you this offseason in training camp and preseason. I can tell a different you, different energy, different vibe. You seem like you're in a better place, better space. What did it take to get you there? I know you went through, talking to Dan Quinn, talking to Adam Peters, but it also, some things you probably had to do just like, okay, let me really get to where I want to be and really embrace this.
I know for me, it's not about the wins and losses. And I feel like that's something that a lot of fans think, that I'm just frustrated because we lose, which I am. But winning and losing in the NFL, in my opinion, comes down to 5 plays a game, give or take. If they swing a different way, that's usually going to determine the game. But for me, it's the process. And, I mean, the simple way I could put it, I just want to be around a bunch of dudes who love the game and want to play football the right way.
Yeah.
If I can get that, hey, I can work with it.
You played with Nick Saban, man.
Hey,
you said that about winning, right? But you won at every level. You won in high school. You won in college. And I know that's been an adjustment. That's an adjustment in your mindset. So you say it's not about winning, but you want to win the Super Bowl.
1,000%. I definitely want to win. But before I can even focus on winning, if we're not doing the little things right here every single day, I can't even focus on that. So I love what we're building here. I love the guys we brought in. I mean, obviously, when you have a quarterback like Jaden Daniels, it really just gives everybody hope and really gives you a chance because, without having that quarterback position figured out, you don't got a chance in this league in today's football.
You spoke about Bobby being here now. Has his presence been felt already?
For sure. I mean, when you look at a guy like Bobby, who's usually one of the first people here, how hard he works, it really gives no excuse to anybody else.
You got a new DC also, Joe Witt Jr. This is his first year being a defensive coordinator. And when you interview him, when we talk to him, I'm looking like, man, what took him so long? What took him so long to get a DC job?
Right.
We know what it's like to talk to him outside of the meeting room. What's he like in the meeting rooms and also the field?
Good question.
All that.
I love it. You guys know you can teach anybody X's and O's. That's not really hard. It just comes down to just knowing the game of football. But when you got a coach who you want to play hard for, who preaches, who lives what he preaches, and loves that physicality from the back all the way to the front 7, man, I love it. I just love it, man. I can't tell you how excited I am for Tampa Bay, man. And if I don't like to guarantee a lot of things, but you're going to like the way this defense looks. I can't say how we're going to perform because I don't like to make guarantees, but we're going to go out there and we're going to play.
Real quick. So earlier today, I actually was talking to Joe. I ran into him in the hallway, and I mentioned to him there was a play in the preseason game against New England where they ran, I think, a screen or something, and it was 10 guys in the frame.
You speaking of what I'm talking about.
10 guys in the frame just around the football. And the 11th guy, only reason he wasn't in the frame, so to speak, because he was a corner, playing outside or whatever. That's what you're talking about. And playing with that type of intensity and just go get it.
I was going to allude to that too because that's noticeable. Like, I mean, we watching preseason, so it's hard to really get up for it and say everything is vanilla. But the one thing that stands out, especially defensively, everybody to the ball. I mean, you had young guys in there tackling like they was linebackers, and I'm sitting here saying, I was joking with Fred. I'm like, Fred, you couldn't play for they out there tackling for real. But it's very noticeable, bro. And that's something that, I'm a receiver, and I understood what it took to stop guys on a high level. And I'm watching, I'm going to be real with you. I've said this all last year. I didn't like the way we played outside because no one was physical. Nobody bumping, running, nobody putting hands on nobody, and instantly you see that already. So, that jumps off the screen. You just spoke about it. We going to like what we see. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see it in a real game. You know what I mean?
It's going to be fun, man. The standard's the standard, and Coach Quinn said it best. This place is for anybody, but it's not for everybody. So we'll see.
What's next for Jonathan Allen, man? You're a perennial Pro Bowler. How do you take your game? Which is year 7, right?
Year 8.
This going to year 8, man.
Year 8, man.
We're a year behind.
Oh, we're a year behind.
Year 8.
What's next? How do you take your game here?
I think for me, the difference between great players and average players is just consistency. Great players have more great plays more consistently.
Right.
And I don't think that's me going out there and searching for plays, but I think that's me falling back on my training, doing little things the right way, taking care of my body like I never have before, take care of my nutrition like I never have before, and just raising up my floor. So my floor is high consistently. So if I can do that, I think that's the difference between, good and great players. So I'm looking to be great more consistently.
You mentioned changing your nutrition, and you shared that you hired a chef for the first time this year. You look lean, even at 300 pounds, I'm guessing, or whatever you are. But you look lean and you can tell the difference. What was kind of the thought process behind? Hey, I want to hire the chef, get in the best shape. I don't know if it's the best shape you've ever been in, but just maybe doing something different this offseason. What was the thought process?
I saw a quote from LeBron James, and I thought that was so interesting. He said, if you want to be great in your craft, you're going to have to sacrifice your loved ones. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's a conversation I had with my wife. Like, we're not going to be able to spend as much time together. We're not going to be able to go out on dates like we like to. It's going to be a sacrifice between me and you in our relationship. But you just have to understand why I'm doing it. So I saw that, and that really hit home to me because I wouldn't sacrifice my relationship as much as I feel like I could have. And I think that's been a huge change for me. We don't go out anymore. Hannah knows at 7 o'clock every night I'm putting on my game ready, my Normatec. I got a 2-hour routine every single night, going to bed. Can't go home and watch TV and spend the quality time that I know that she likes. And that's why I think it's so important to have a great woman, you know what I mean? That I don't have to do it on my own, but she has to understand if I want to take my game to the next level, I'm going to have to sacrifice you a little bit.
You gotta have to.
And she's cool with that.
Yeah, we've all been on that road. I remember just talking to someone recently, someone from my university reached out to me like, hey, man, we want to, collaborate with you on Instagram about the six days until we play our game. And he was asking me some questions, and I was like, man, that's one of the things that stood out to me in college that I took with myself, pro-wise. I remember when I got hurt my first year, and I was trying to get back to Tanner that was playing on that level collegiately in the pros, and the first thing I had to do was cut friends, cut my eating habits, cut my hanging out habits. I knew that what got me through college. So when you speaking of it, it just resonated with me because that's what people fail to realize. Like if you take a little bit out, Coach Davis, Bush Davis used to always ask us, how many slices of pie you giving out of your pie? See what I'm saying? If you say I got a piece for everybody and all these other things, then you don't have enough for yourself to be great. And that's, that made me think about that. So that's the way to go about it, man. And I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. I've been watching you every year here throughout your whole career here with us, and
I've been watching him since high school.
Regardless, so I'm trying to say, I knew he was gonna be a pro. You knew the guy before us, man.
I watched this Westfield scrimmage when
real quick before we let John go. You got to tell us the story about when he showed up at your camp you had.
Man, so I threw the Shawn Springs camp every year, and real good camp. It was all about giving back, and it wasn't as many high schools as today in Ashburn as this community. And I'm looking on the sideline, and I see a big old dude in a cut-off shirt. I'm like, Mickey, coach, who's the new parent that's helping out, right? And he goes, man, that's my D tackle, Jonathan Allen. And when I
said he was a 10th grader, right?
Yeah, he don't even remember. He was about in 10th grade. I said, hey, man, and I think Jonathan, if I'm not mistaken, he had just came from like Alabama or something weird like that. He had moved up here. And he was just a humble kid, working the camp, had his sleeves cut off at Stonebridge. And I remember watching him in scrimmage. He'll remember this play, man. I seen him like, I think it was Westfield, Centerville, like bull rush to center, threw him down, hit the fullback, and sacked the quarterback. I was like, man, he can start for us today. I told Coach Gibbs he can start for us today. You know what I'm talking about? He like killed the center. Right?
Man, that's a great way to end this right here. Man. John, we absolutely appreciate you being on this edition of the Players Club. We like to have all our guests sign the football, man. If you wouldn't sign this ball, wouldn't mind signing this ball, we greatly appreciate that.
You started the year off for us, man.
I appreciate you guys, man. I used to come up here every year for y'all's training camp and be out in the stands. So it's always surreal for me being able to come here and talk to you guys.
That's
all right, man. Appreciate you.
Wish you the best this year.
Thank you.
The best, man.
Welcome back to the Players Club. This segment is called Drive Time. It's time for Drive Time, presented by Eastern Automotive Group. Any car, any way, for everyone since 1988. Fellas, what we got to do to get off to a fast start this season?
You know what? I think first and foremost, got to protect the football. That's the first and foremost thing. Turnovers are such a big indicator or determinant of who wins the football game. So protecting the football and being able to also convert, on the flip side of that, take the ball away. We protected the football, winning the turnover battle. I think that's definitely one way we can get off to a fast start.
For me, it's play clean football. I thought they did a good job in the preseason. Not too many penalties or whatever in games. Yeah. And one way you can lead to turnovers is you can get like a holding on offense, get backed up, and then have a third and long, and you get a penalty. So for me, it's about play clean football. I don't know. Let's not jump off sides. Yeah. Let's let's no pass interference. Let's do all the things. Let's not give the ball game away. Let's make opponents beat us.
I think that go hand in hand. I think if you playing clean football, protecting the football, that allows you to now get yourself in position to score football. Yep. You know what I'm saying? So that's my number one thing. When I was an offensive guy playing each and every time we had a drive, is I wanted to get in scoring drive, whether it's 3 or 6, and we kicking an extra field. Kicking an extra point. You're trying to get points every time you're on the field, and it makes a world of a difference if you see yourself offensively having those opportunities, because now, regardless of what happens defensively, if you're scoring, you're still giving yourself a chance. You know what I'm saying? If you're not, and that next team get the ball and drive and score, you're putting yourself that far behind the 8 ball. So,
and what determines a fast start? Are we talking at the first quarter of the season? Is it 2-2 a fast start, or 3-1 a fast start? Obviously, we love to go 4-0.
Right.
Are we talking like?
I guess we got that's a very good point. That's a great point.
What's a fast start? And, I'll say this: the game against Tampa Bay, we haven't talked a whole lot about that. That's going to be a challenge going down there. But I love it though, because now Tampa Bay, very under the radar type of team. They were a playoff team, won a playoff game, went into Detroit last season, had them as a one-score game late in the fourth quarter, or in the fourth quarter of that ball game. Todd Bowles and that defense, we're going to have to go in there protecting the football. Key. I think also being able to run the ball against them.
Well, let's address the elephant in the room then to the fast start then.
What's
with
that?
A rookie quarterback. Well, let's address it. Like,
is that the elephant in the room? I don't know.
We've been messing around, right? But in order to, we all know that the quarterback position and how they bring Jaden, because in the preseason, he played and he looked good when he was in there.
Yeah.
But that wasn't you can't count that. And that wasn't the full what's the arsenal of everything that unleashed. How much are you going to, will a fast start be, how much you put on Jaden's plate the first game when it comes to the play calling and you know, what you give him.
Well, I was going to talk about just when you mentioned, far as record-wise, being a fast start.
But it's all coming down to quarterback.
It all comes to the quarterback. It all comes to them playing.
I'm gonna wait.
It all comes to them playing as a unit. Period.
I'm gonna wait to comment on it.
A fast start to me, that's gonna basically hint at both of what y'all questions, record-wise and quarterback-wise, is how much they look like a team out the gate.
Yeah.
Because they're not a team until you go out there and you play together. You know what I mean? Yeah, we could come out here and say we all in the same uniform, but when you know you have a team is when those guys are complementing each other. You understand? Defensively, offensively, special teams, everybody's out there putting each other in position to succeed. So to me, the fast start would be, one, how well do they look like a group? You don't have to win to look good as a team.
Yeah.
But you can play good enough and say, man, they just lost it by a field goal. They just lost it by, whatever it may be. But to me, that will basically get that to what you're saying record-wise, because if they look like a team early, then they have the potential to have a better record, whether it starts early or later. You know what I mean? But you want them to look like what they're trying to be. The culture that's set, and you want to see that out the gate.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you made the comment that the fast start and getting off to a fast start and winning all that is all about the quarterback. I don't think it's all about
I don't think
it's
it
not
either.
all about the quarterback.
It's not.
You don't have to put as much.
It's not, but it is.
Yeah.
Look, so
go ahead.
he's a major part of it. The quarterback is because the position he's a major part of. But if you think about this, there's so many other weapons that we have on offense. We got to run. We got some backs that can run the rock.
Yeah.
We got you. You can get the ball out of his hands quick. We got some a defense that they're gonna have to do their part. They're gonna have to make plays. They're gonna have to take the football away. So it's not all about the quarterback. All eyes will be on him because that's just the nature of the position, and he's the second overall pick Heisman Trophy winner.
Well,
he'll have to play well, but he doesn't have to be the savior. He doesn't have to carry the load. And I don't think you go into Tampa Bay in that type of environment with the Todd Bowles defense saying, "Hey, Jaden, you gotta carry
that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying in a different way. London and Sean Springs on defense, we know going into the game, a rookie quarterback is going to have to beat us. That play calling is going to be. I don't care how good Santana is. He could be all pro. But if I don't feel like Jaden can get him the ball accurately, deep ball, hit me in spots, I don't have no fear. So what I was saying is it's not all about the quarterback, but it is also everybody is going into the game. Can a rookie quarterback beat one?
But with that being said, is what that rookie quarterback brings to the table as well.
That's what I'm saying. So I got to see it, right?
So with that being said, you can't also be in certain coverages knowing that he can be running up behind you if you got your back turned to him. That's one part. And just from what you saw sample size preseason, he's thrown it in them buckets. So I get your point. You're 100% right. But when you look at him, you're going to come in that game saying, this is what I know about Jaden from what I saw in college and what I So
I don't know, Tanner. I don't know if pros give him that respect the first 3 weeks. You might fast start. Well, I don't know if we do.
And then you'll be that pro that ball going behind your back.
Behind your head.
No, I'm saying I would respect you because I'm saying I'm not gonna sit on Santana.
Yeah, but
we're talking with London and Greg, and we talking like.
Here's the thing that we have. First and fourmost, they don't know what the offense is going to look like. Meaning the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Great point. Yeah.
They haven't seen the Washington Commanders' true offense.
True.
They got some. They might
go
footage
back. They might go back to Arizona.
They don't watch Arizona stuff. But you got to understand this. It's a meshing of Arizona's offense, Anthony Lynn as the run game coordinator, what he brought from what he's bringing from San Francisco and those elements. Brian Johnson, the pass game coordinator, what philosophies and things he's bringing to him. So there's a lot of different elements to this offense that I don't see. One thing that we know who the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are. They're a high-pressure team. Mm-hmm. They blitzed the third most out of anybody in the National Football League from a percentage standpoint last year. So having a game plan that has answers for those blitzes is what the game plan will be highly predicated on.
And thank God they don't have Shaq and White That's all I'm worried about.
Hey,
Those
guys,
two guys there.
fellas, it is time for fan questions.
All right, let's go. Let's do this.
And let me kick it off. At Tris TV 20, personal question: When in the world are they going to give you your gold jacket? I think she might be talking about London, but I will answer for myself. No, that was a personal question. Here's the real question. Serious question. How do you feel about the linebacker core, and will Jamin Davis break out as an edge rusher? That's a great question.
Yeah, I feel great about the linebacker core. I look at the additions that they made. First and foremost, Frankie Louvu was the highest rated linebacker in free agency. We were able to get him. Very underrated, playing in a small market like Carolina. You just didn't hear a lot about him. He's a baller, can do everything. Then Bobby Wagner, we know what he is. Speaking of gold jackets, he will have one of those. And the young guys, they drafted Jordan McGee. I know he's injured right now, but I thought he was going to excel. But collectively, it's an entirely new linebacking core. Because looking at Jamin as a edge rusher, and as it speaks to Jamin, I think he's really developing as an edge rusher and be showing that he can play that position.
What's up? Next question, fan question, at Dominique_ORSINI. That because I don't know how to pronounce it. What player on this roster will you most like to have on yours? I guess they can say your team. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know if it's a 2-question thing, so I'm gonna answer that one first. Which player on this roster would I most likely have on my team? That's a good one, man. That's a good question.
Are they trying to who do you think is the best player that you would want to say? Yeah. What team we talking about?
Yeah, it don't really matter. I just say one of my one of my Washington teams. Okay. If I had to pick a guy, I would have loved the 2 guys. I would have loved the Deron Payne type player, Jonathan Allen type player, because I felt like we was missing that.
We had Big Griff. But
we was missing the Pro Bowl caliber Griff. Remember, Griff was definitely good. He got hurt. We was missing that Pro Bowl rush talent. So I would have loved to have 2 guys like that. What about you guys?
For me, it's Jaden Daniels.
Yeah,
I think Jaden is he is a superstar potentially in the making. You saw Chris Collinsworth on Sunday night say, "Hey man, this guy's a star." Okay, I think Jaden Daniels gonna be a star.
All right, let me get to the next one.
Let me touch it real quick. I would love to have seen you paired with Terry McLaurin. I think y'all two would have did some damage.
You're right. You absolutely right.
That's a good one.
Because you got a guy that's real gritty, and Terry just get it done no matter how.
Yeah.
And myself, I was like a ballerina out there on the field, man.
You want no ballerina? You a ballerina? You want no ballerina?
I was light on my toes. Boy, you better go watch them film. I was light on my toes out there, baby.
I've never thought of you as a ballerina.
I was light on my toes out there, man. Go watch me, man.
You was like a mosquito on the wall, man.
I was tiptoeing across people, man. I was light on my toes,
ballerina.
Man. Hey, no, okay, next question. What player from your roster would most help this current squad?
Oh, me, 100%. They need a cover corner like me. I would say I like that Chris Samuels, though. I would say myself.
Oh, yeah, left tackle. Yeah,
Chris Samuels would have been a big addition to this team.
Trent Williams, then. Let me say, since you say Chris, I'm going to say Trent.
Man. I would. Blue definitely, because he said you need a corner.
Yeah.
You need a corner. Man, who else?
Sean?
Oh,
they got safeties. They got safeties. That's the left tackle. I think the consensus might be the left tackle, Trent or Big Chris.
Yeah, the left tackle. Yeah.
Left tackle would be big.
Hey, Santana on this team.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah.
They
dominant receiver.
Yeah. You need
more than one.
Yeah. So you got 2 ones.
Yeah.
You got him and Terry as 2 ones.
A ballerina over here.
Yeah, hey, ballerina. All right, I got a question for you. This is at JibJab15. Who besides Jaden are your breakout stars to watch on offense and defense this year?
For me, it has to be a Sinistro. Mike is a monster. That kid that's going to play. Obviously, we saw him playing in a slot. London, we were talking about this earlier. We saw him playing in the slot, but we think he has a footwork and potential to even play outside if need be.
Yeah.
I think he's an X factor as a rookie, and I think he's gonna be good.
Defensively, I would say Louisville. I mean, don't get me wrong. Wagner's going to be Wagner. He's going to be the guy. He's going to be the QB of the defense. But I want to see that kind of play from Louisville. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, but Louisville. He just one of those guys. He had that it factor. He had that factor. Like, you just look at him, man. The way he lines up, he reminds me of watching a program.
He looked the part.
You know how those guys that had their jerseys back in the day? He looked like one of those guys watching him in practice. So I can just imagine how he's going to be. And I watched him all last year, playing in Carolina. So defensively, I would say him. What
about y'all offensive guy? I'm going to save mine for last for both. Y'all got offensive? Who's your offensive guys?
I want to see, and I might be a little biased because I played against his dad. I want to see if McCaffrey could develop into the third guy. Yeah, I want to see if he actually, because the kid's been playing receiver 2 years.
Yeah,
I thought he showed some spark in preseason. His pedigree with his family. Yeah, if he can, so. I would say him, and that might be a little bit because I think Dayami had a great preseason. But I would love to see McCaffrey. Like, I think he's going to be a good player, man.
I'm going to just keep it obvious. I'm going to go with Terry. I mean, we've seen Terry put up the numbers.
You can't take the obvious.
But I'm saying because
it's
obvious that he's one of those guys that you can count on. But every year's a new year.
Right.
And you have a new quarterback. So I want to see Terry. Terry hasn't been dynamic the way that we know he could be because of the quarterback play. You understand?
Yeah.
Now having this quarterback, if these guys get on track,
he's still a rookie. He's still a rookie, yeah.
You're right. But just the talent, his abilities, that the way he can pass the ball, the way he can, read right now from what we saw, some of the things. Just getting Terry the ball. He seemed to be a guy that knows how to get the guys that can help him out the ball in their hands, fast and let them do what they got to do. So I just want to see Terry have a great start, with a quarterback, because I think he will help the quarterback tremendously if he can get out there and show him, like, look, man, I'm open, just throw me the ball,
Yeah, so offensively, my breakout star is B-Rob. B-Rob, Brian Robinson Jr. I think him in this offense with his ability or greater emphasis first and foremost on running the ball.
Yep.
He's gonna turn up yards. He should have over 1,000 yards rushing.
Easy.
Right. But also his skill set in catching the football. He has natural hands catching the football. And I'm sure they'll figure out ways to get him involved in the passing game. So when you combine those two things together, him being able to catch the ball out of the backfield, great emphasis on running the ball, he's going to be a breakout star in this league. And if you play fantasy football, I know a lot of teams, a lot of people are drafting players. I think you want to draft B-Rob.
Well, and think about the fantasy, but he is going to split those touches with Eckler on the third down, right? Because Eckler,
but you never know.
Eckler was clearly brought here for the third down package.
Yeah,
but things could change.
But then that's my offensive guy. Defensively, I'm going to go with Dorrance Armstrong.
Ooh, yes, I like that one.
He produced in a limited role with the Cowboys last year.
Yep.
As a pass rusher, could go inside, could play outside as a defensive end. He's going to play a lot more snaps here. Whether it's, I don't know what's the percentage going to be. 60. I would imagine at least 60% of the plays he's going to be on the field. With more snaps, you'll get more productivity out of him. Mm-hmm. And offenses, if you think about it, they're going to be first and foremost. Hey, we got to get Deron and Jonathan blocked.
Right.
We got to make sure we get these guys.
Yeah.
So he'll be getting a lot of one-on-one blocks and stuff like that. Things like that. So I'm thinking that he can have a breakout season because with more playing time and the guys he'll be playing with along that defensive front.
Let me actually thinking about in that same line. So John, he's playing DN now, right? He's an edge rusher. Jamin, I'm sorry. Yeah. Jamin's playing edge rusher now.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
So we got to look at him as a new
breakout guy.
Could he be a breakout guy?
Well, I don't know if he'll from a snap standpoint. How many snaps or how many.
Now he could be. He could be that guy like the Cowboys had last year when they used to bring in Fowler, and he got those spark. He sparked the defense at times. He could bring that kind of spark to the defense. Just knowing that he probably is going to be subbed in at times when we need a play, need somebody to come out, come off the edge for a little faster or whatever. Because I think he brings that to the team more than anything. He might be rusty, or I can't even say rusty. He might be, what you call it, raw?
Yeah, raw.
Raw at that position. But I think with just his ability to play fast, it's going to be a shock to
that's what I
somebody,
was wondering, yeah.
to some teams tackle that. Oh man, I wasn't ready for this, and now he gets into a rhythm and gets into a groove, and have a good season doing it.
Yeah. Well, fellas, man, this has been fun. First edition of the 3rd season of the Players Club.
Welcome back.
We
football.
appreciate y'all tuning in. We'll see y'all next week, same time.